Having lived in Austin for 14 years now, I've put together a comprehensive list of all of the pros and cons that I think you should really understand if you're considering a move to the Austin area. Now, some of these might surprise you. I've thrown in a few that I personally think could go either way. So as we move about this video, let me know what you think in the comments if you think these particular items are truly a pro or a con to living in Austin, Texas. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm a pretty positive person, so I'm going to start with pro number one. What a lot of people don't realize is that Austin has a surprising amount of really nice topography, being situated in and around the Texas Hill Country. Many people often think of areas like Dallas and even Houston, which are primarily flat with farmland on the outskirts of most of these cities. Austin definitely is not that way, and that's one of the things that I really love about it. Because of that, though, we have an endless supply of really pretty natural outdoor offerings. In most areas of the city, you'll even find really active green belts throughout where people are jogging and biking. We even have several lakes throughout the general area, with the two most popular being Lake Travis out west and Lake Austin that's more towards the city center. On the note of Lake Austin itself, there's a really nice section of the river where you can actually boat and jet ski, and then another section that's the part that runs right through downtown where you'll primarily see people paddle boarding and even kayaking. You can even have very small boats in this particular section, but it's a little less common to see. Off of Lake Austin, specifically this section where you'll find boaters, you also have some of the most expensive waterfront homes in all of Austin. On that note, be sure to check out my video that features one of the most expensive zip codes in Austin, all you need to know about this particular spot. Of course, you've probably heard of the popular spots like Zilker Park and Barton Springs Pool that I've talked about in many of my other previous videos, but what's special about Austin is that so many different neighborhoods all throughout the city have really nice outdoor offerings within those particular pockets. City and state parks, access to water in some areas, and even smaller pocket parks in a lot of these areas make them incredibly appealing. So if you're not necessarily living in and around downtown with a lot of that action and hustle and bustle, you'll still be able to tap into these really great spots in your particular neighborhood bubble. If you head west towards Lake Travis and Spicewood, you'll also find a few of my really favorite parks, one of which is known as Pace Bend Park. It's a super cool spot where you can get down to the water on Lake Travis itself, grill out for the day, or even just take your pups for a stroll. That's definitely one of the things that I love to do because it's one of the few activities that actually wears my dogs out. Before diving into my first negative about Austin, I do want to welcome you to the channel or back to the channel. My name is Aubrey Von Baron. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in the Austin Metro. I've helped hundreds of people relocate to the area, and if you may be interested in working together, then be sure to reach out to me, call, text, or email. I would love to connect about your move to Austin. As always, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you're alerted of all of the new content that I'll be putting together for you on a weekly basis. If you're happy with the content that I'm putting together for you today, be sure to hit that little like button. It helps people just like you find this information a little more easily. Let's go ahead and jump right into con number one. As you've likely heard, Texas and Austin continue to be very popular spots for relocation, not only for individuals, but big businesses as well. In fact, for the fourth year in a row, U-Haul's Growth Index, which they publish each year, reported that California reflected the largest net loss of one-way movers, and Texas netted the largest number of movers to the state. That's huge. Of course, not all of these people are coming from California, but you get the idea. Texas and Austin are incredibly popular. These spots are so popular, in fact, that Texas is the #1 growth state for the 6th time in 8 years, with the last 3 years being a consecutive win for influx to Texas. Although there are, of course, perks to this growth being here in the area, such as better shopping and restaurant options, infrastructure, and so on, it also means that those spots are much more congested and harder to access, especially if you've been in Austin for a long period of time and you know what it once was. Of course, we all know about increased traffic as cities experience growth, but what some people don't necessarily think about are some of the day-to-day things like longer wait times at restaurants, or maybe needing to make reservations at your favorite spot months in advance instead of being able to just stumble upon it as you're out and about over the weekend. So I think what really gets people here is that Austin didn't used to be that way. For those of you coming from more populated cities, don't worry at all. This will be a complete breeze for you in Austin. Like I mentioned, there are certainly pros to the growth, and this might actually be one of my personal favorites. As Austin grows, so does our food scene. We have some very awesome food in Austin, and it comes in all varieties, which I love. Our well-known sushi spots like Uchi and Uchiko have even made their way to other locations throughout the country. And the one that remains my all-time favorite that not a lot of people know about is Barley Swine, which features a chef's tasting menu option that's delicious and always changing. So definitely be sure to check that out. On top of the nicer dining, we also have some of the best food trucks around, and you'll find them scattered all about the city. Many of them really rival some of the best brick and mortar spots throughout not only Austin, but the country, I've noticed. So if you're looking for casual spots while you're exploring the city, definitely check those out, and you'll be sure to stumble upon them as you're moving about. Sadly, we have to pivot back to one of the negatives about Austin. For those of you coming from the smaller states with less landmass, you might want to consider the drive time in and out of Texas, especially if you're a fan of road trips. If you're in places like the Northeast where it's greater density, it doesn't take much time to cross over into another state if you want a little bit of a change of scenery. When you're in Austin, a little bit more centrally located in the state of Texas, you're an 8+ hour drive to get out of the state. The positive to this, though, is that you're covering a ton of different type of land, from large pine trees in parts of East Texas to mountains in West Texas. That can make for some really great road trips and fun areas to explore. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to do so. Even to this day, this is still one of my favorite things about Austin. We are home to some of the largest music festivals, including ACL, also known as Austin City Limits, and South by Southwest. ACL is strictly music, and it spans over the course of 2 weekends here in Austin. South by Southwest has grown so much that it's now actually multiple weeks long, and it features all genres from music, film, and even tech. Because Austin now has such a presence across not only the United States, but internationally, we also have numerous big acts throughout the year at multiple venues throughout the city. Moody Theater, located next to the W Hotel, hosts ACL Live and many other big names, including comedy acts even. We also now have several amphitheaters, including the 360 Amphitheater at our Formula One track over in East Austin. Circuit of the Americas is the name of that. The Moody Center is another state-of-the-art venue that recently opened, and it's another great spot to catch live music. Again, many of those big acts that are coming through town. Although this next one isn't necessarily that big of a surprise, I do still think it's very important to talk about it. This next one that I want to bring up is traffic, and most big cities have it. For those of you moving from large cities and states like California and New York, Austin is nowhere near that kind of traffic. But for the longtime locals and those of you who are familiar with Austin from many, many years ago, you'll find that the whole area has become much more congested for us. With our road system in Austin and not having a true highway loop system like most large cities, it's often a really good idea to plan your commutes at least as well as you possibly can. We have had recent construction of major tollways, which certainly helps to alleviate a lot of the traffic in those newer areas, but not all of these traffic patterns are straightforward. If this does seem to be a pain point for you, though, be sure to reach out and we can definitely discuss the ins and outs and some of the nuances that you should probably know before choosing an area within Austin. At the start of the video, I mentioned a lot of the outdoor offerings that Austin has, and this kind of piggybacks off of that. Austin is a super pretty city with a ton of really nice topography, which is definitely a welcome change from many other cities throughout Texas that can be flat and certainly less green. In terms of natural offerings, we have Lady Bird Lake running through downtown and multiple lakes throughout the area. Lady Bird Lake is actually part of the Colorado River, so you'll find people jogging and biking around it downtown, and other people kayaking and paddleboarding. It's a really popular spot and always active. There are even really cool electric boat rentals that are now offered on this stretch of Lady Bird Lake, so be sure to check those out during your next visit or if you happen to be a local right now. When you head west of Central Austin, you're now in the Texas Hill Country, where you're going to find tons of rolling hills and those big canyon views. Lake Travis is our largest and most popular lake in that immediate area, with plenty of things to do, from boating and jet skiing to restaurants on the water and all of those fun things you can imagine. This one is definitely a pain point for me and hard to admit. So I grew up in San Antonio, and one of my many great memories there included going to the San Antonio Spurs NBA games every year. It was a blast, and I totally miss that. The only pro sports team we have in Austin is our FC soccer team. It's definitely something that you need to check out, and the Q2 soccer stadium that hosts Austin FC is incredible, but that's really all we have in terms of pro sports, aside from some of our minor league options. On that note, many of the minor league teams are still a ton of fun, especially the Round Rock Express baseball over at Dell Diamond. Highly recommend checking that out, especially on a really nice evening. Being home to the University of Texas at Austin, though, we are a huge college sports community, so you'll find top college teams coming in and out the city and plenty of tailgating downtown before all of these games. This next one really intertwines nicely with a lot of our outdoor offerings. If you like exploring wineries and breweries, Austin is home to many popular spots. We're even home to distilleries such as Tito's and Deep Eddy. You've probably heard of those too. Deep Eddy even has a great distillery and tasting room here in the Austin area, where you can take a tour of the facility to see how everything's made and learn all about it. If you're a whiskey fan, Garrison Brothers is situated between Austin and Fredericksburg, and it's another really great spot to tour. Great little weekend trip if you're looking for something like that. Fun fact about Garrison Brothers is that it's the first legal Texas whiskey distillery and the first bourbon distillery outside of Kentucky. So pretty cool to have that here just around the corner. About an hour outside of Austin, you also have a bulk of wineries located in the Fredericksburg area. This is a really popular spot for weddings and a very easy weekend getaway if you're looking for just a little change of pace here and there. Before I give you my bonus pro/con, I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which it is. I do quickly want to touch on this particular item, and it piggybacks on traffic just a bit, but with more people living and traveling to and through the Austin area, parking in and around downtown can be a lot more difficult, especially at those really popular times and in those really popular areas like South Congress Avenue and restaurants throughout the area. On a related note, if you have a large vehicle or truck, because now you live in Texas, you may want to ride share or plan on valeting, because that definitely won't be fitting in any of the garages or many of the parallel spots downtown. So just a little bit of planning ahead to make your life a bit easier. I promised you a bonus item, and I'm going to leave it up to you whether you think this is a positive or negative to living in Austin. I've gotten a kick out of it in recent years, and I want to share it with you. So what I found is that because you live in Austin, everybody will want to visit you. Now, if you love your family and friends like I do, you'll be super excited about the fact that everybody wants to see you. If that's not necessarily the case for you, or maybe you have a select few that you'd maybe rather not see on a frequent basis, fair warning that you'll likely have people coming out of the woodwork to pay a visit to you here in Austin. Just as a reminder, my name is Aubrey Von Barron. I'm a licensed real estate broker here in Austin. If you might be interested in working together, then definitely reach out to me directly. Call, text, or email. I would love to schedule a time to connect about your move to or within the Austin area. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you're alerted of the content that I'll put out for you on a weekly basis. And please hit that little like button so other people can find this information a little more easily. Until next time.